Hi everyone, here's a look at Bathurst in the Formula 3. This is a official TT session. I'll just quickly show the setup. So I've got fairly high tyre pressures, fairly low downforce. I'm running the rake on the car fairly flat, so still a bit of rake but not too significant. Running the front end of the car fairly soft, which is how I like it. It may not be optimal, but it's just how I like it. It gives me that early initial turn in, although it doesn't tend to hold the peak apex speed to the middle of the corner compared to if you run it a bit harder. I've noticed Julian likes to run the front ARB on this car a bit firmer, but it's just how he likes to drive the car. This was based on a setup someone shared me in a practice session. I was running too much drag before, and this level of low downforce seems to work well. So you're braking coming into here up around the 50 metre mark, and I'm going down in the third. You're braking in a straight line. I'm not trailing it in at all. I'm pretty well off the brakes. I'm still not completely comfortable with the braking in this car, but around here you can run enough downforce that it gives you decent grip. Getting in the apex, you want to get the car quite into the apex, then run it out, and you can touch the outside curb a bit, but you don't want to get too up on it, or it tends to bump the back of the car around. You don't get that drive out of the corner. Now we're pushing up the hill. Now you're wanting to brake at or around the 50 metre marker and turn into a later apex. If you get this apex in here early, the car will understeer wide and you'll be off into that fence. You're wanting to clip the apex around this point. So we're bringing it in. Didn't quite grab it, but get close enough to it. As long as the car's not like really understeering wide and you're having to get on and off the throttle to keep it stuck to the corner, you're doing okay. Didn't get too much outside curb. Now you're wanting to enter here from wide and bring it into the apex and then back out wide to the next corner. Now some people take this in a very stop-start method, like they slow right down for this apex and they slow right down for the next corner, but it actually should be flowed sort of almost like the Suzuka S's. You just ignore the walls there and treat it like a really flowing part of the track. So I'm flowing the speed in the first apex, down in the third, slightly braking, then just quickly turning the car in. You want to turn it in really early and hold the momentum up on the inside apex there. Then it's flat out up through this next section. So double apex, throw it in, barely lift, down in the third, just throw it in early, hold the speed and momentum through there. And if you don't have to get too hard on the throttle, you don't tend to unsettle the car, because if I have noticed watching the onboard replays, what a lot of people do is they brake fairly late here and take like a later apex and then have to drive the car up the hill. But there's quite a lot of bumps here and camber to the track, so it will often break traction. You really want to flow it with the aerodynamics. And it can carry a lot of apex speed through here. So here's just flat, you don't worry about it, you just turn in. Still flat up through here, just shifting up through the gears. You want to kind of take it into an early apex here and flow it out towards the outside wall and bring it into this next apex. You've still got to worry about clipping the apexes, but this is basically a straight in this car. Bring it in, right hard into this inside apex to minimise the track distance. And although that's hard in a V8 supercar, in the Formula 3 car, everyone should be running very similar through there. Now, you want to carry the momentum of the turn in into the inside apex here, so you want to turn in from well wide down through the chase. Now these are a series of corners and you've got to get slower on each. It's very important to keep the car flat and stable through here. If you're throwing it into this first apex and the car's moving around, you're pretty much going to lose a lot of time down through the chase. So you've just got to lightly turn it in, just smoothly turn it in, sort of on the brakes, slowing the momentum down. I'm not worrying too much about the inside curb. You can clip it a little bit, but I don't get up on it. In the Pro Mazda, you can really hit it hard, but this car just doesn't have the stability over the curbs that it does, so I'm only just lightly touching it. Want to bring it in, holding it on the brakes down through here, and you're holding it a hard ride into this apex, making sure you're pretty much on the curb the whole time. Then again, back into the left. Now here, there's a bump hiding for you at the apex, which this car really hits, and I do get it on this lap, and it sort of skips it out, and that cost me a bit of time because I've then got to gather the car back up and bring it back to the apex. So that's pushed me out wider than I want to be. I don't want to be out here. I want to be more here so I can get a clean line in, but I've just got to recover from that. Now that makes me get right off the throttle and I've got to push it back in, but that was okay. I've noticed the TT session has ended, and I'm hoping it doesn't boot me after 2 minutes. I don't think it does. Bam, got that bump, pushed me out, but I recovered it. Now, down into Forest Elbow, again, you really want to keep the car steady. You don't want to throw in too much entry speed, or else the car's back end will be moving just as the camber catches it out. So you're steady on entry, keeping the car flat, and just making sure you get the apex. If you come in there with the back end sliding, it's going to shoot you off into the right hand wall usually, or you'll spend too much time gathering it up. So carrying the speed down this inside apex, turning in narrow, now in a straight line, down 2 gears into the apex. You want to clip this white line with the front left wheel, but you don't want to go too far in because there's a curb waiting here, and if you hit it, it can push you into the outside wall. So I'm just holding, not quite using all the track, and getting a nice clean drive out. And that's about optimal. So I was happy with that section, but getting that bump on that apex definitely cost me a tenth. Good clean drive out. Just flat it out down through here. The braking marker, I like to use this red section and brake just slightly after it. Now you really want to get the car into an early apex. I like to go down 2 gears on entry and then 1 at the apex, just to sort of spread out the downshifts a bit. Then once you get there, you can accelerate out in 3rd. And you want to carry as much speed as you can get into this inside curb. The line is off the curb on that bit inside the white line, so you want to get the front wheel there, but not push it out to the outside curb or it will get stuck. Now I did a little bit there. You can get away with about that much, but any more and that would have caught the car and it would have been pretty much a ruined lap. I upshifted just to control the traction a bit. Now down through here after this pole is the braking marker. So you're going down here, you're going down 2 gears, bring it into an early apex. Don't want to get that inside curb. If you get that, again lap over, it will bounce you off the track on the outside, or it'll unsettle the car, and just smoothly accelerating out. Now I'm not sure, did I go down, you can, if you get the corner dead right, sometimes you can just hold 3rd, but otherwise if you're not carrying quite enough apex speed, you can grab 2nd just to give it that bit better drive. I'll just see which I did in this lap. I think I grabbed 2nd, yeah, 2nd at the apex. Give me a good drive out. You just want to make sure you don't upset the rear on initial acceleration. And there's the lap. So 1:56.1. And his lap in full motion. It's been a while since I've done one of this, but I got a request to do it, and I've actually put in a decent amount of practice around here. Slowly getting used to the F3, but still not as comfortable as the Pro Mazda.